In this first week, full week of Advent, as we prepare our hearts for the second Sunday of Advent, we are living in a week of hope. That's the first week of Advent. We have hope because of Jesus Christ. One of the things that we are missing this Christmas season is actually being in our sanctuary. We usually have what's called the hanging of the greens around this time, where we bring in the different symbols around Advent and Christmas to remind us of Christ. And so we're taking just a few moments these next few weeks in these videos to give us a deeper meaning around each one. So you'll see the Christmas tree, and it's not fully decorated yet. We'll put the ornaments on next week. But I wanted to share with you the story of the Christmas tree. Actually, it dates back to the 7th century, and it is, the legend is that there was a very zealous missionary by the name of Winifred, and later he became a saint, Saint Boniface. But he was out spreading God's word, and he came across a group of men who were actually offering a sacrifice in front of an oak tree. And he became so angry at this, that they would worship a tree and offer sacrifice, that he cut down the tree. He just chopped it down in front of them to show what a false god that was. Well, it is said that in the place of that oak tree grew a fir tree, and that it grew in that place almost as if Jesus' death and resurrection was represented in that. The other thing that people have noticed is that in a Christmas tree, a fir tree, the limbs extend out as if Jesus' arms were on the cross. That there's that extension of Jesus, a reminder of that. In the midst of all that is happening, our hope is Jesus. Our hope is in the one who died so that we may have new life. And so may this Christmas season we remember as we put up our Christmas tree, and that it is indeed Jesus is the one who gives us that hope. Another part of our hanging of the greens, we would bring in green garland, and wreaths to hang in our sanctuary. Did you know that the green, of course, means growth? In the midst of the winter, we find that God works his greatest work at times in those deep, dark places. And so we gravitate during this Christmas season toward green things like garland to remind us of that. But then there's also the wreath that's circular, that it is never ending. And it reminds us that God is eternal, that he has no beginning and he has no end. He is the God who continues through all eternity, that being the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, that he will never change. So these things continue to give us hope that God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, that he is eternal, that he never changes, and that he is doing a good and abiding work in us.
It happened one day near December's end. Two neighbors called on a dear old friend, and they found his shop so meager and lean, made gay with 1,000 boughs of green. And Conrad was sitting with face ashine, when he suddenly stopped as he stitched a twine. And he said, "Old friends, at dawn today, when the cock was crowing the night away, the Lord appeared in a dream to me. And he said, I'm coming, your guest to be. So I've been busy with feet astir, strewing my shop with branches of fir. The table is spread, the kettle is shine, and over the rafters the holly is twined. And now I'll wait for my Lord to appear, and listen closely so I will hear his steps as he nears my humble place. And I'll open the door and look on his face." So his friends went home and left Conrad alone, for this was the happiest day he had known. For long since his family had passed away, and Conrad had spent many a sad Christmas day. But he knew with the Lord as his Christmas guest, this Christmas would be the dearest and best. So he listened with only joy in his heart, and with every sound he would rise with a start, and look for the Lord to be at his door, like the vision he had a few hours before. So he ran to the window after hearing a sound, but all he could see on the snow-covered ground was a shabby old beggar whose shoes were torn, and all of his clothes were ragged and worn. But Conrad was touched, and he went to the door, and he said, "You know your feet must be frozen and sore. I have some shoes in my shop for you, and a coat that will keep you warmer too." So with grateful heart the man went away, but Conrad noticed the time of day, and he wondered what made the Lord so late, and how much longer he'd have to wait. When he heard a knock, he ran to the door, but it was only a stranger once more. A bent old lady with a shawl of black and a bundle of kindling piled on her back. And she asked for only a place to rest, but that was reserved for Conrad's great guest. But her voice seemed to plead, "Please don't send me away. Let me rest for a while here on Christmas Day." So Conrad brewed her a steaming cup and told her to sit at the table and sup. But after she left, he was filled with dismay, for he saw that the hours were slipping away, and the Lord hadn't come as he said he would. Then Conrad felt sure he had misunderstood. When out in the stillness he heard a cry, "Please help me and tell me, where am I?" So again he opened his friendly door, and he stood disappointed as twice before. It was only a child who had wandered away and was lost from her family on Christmas Day. Again, Conrad's heart was heavy and sad, but he knew he should make the little girl glad. So he called her in and wiped her tears and quieted all her childish fears. Then he led her back to her home once more. But as he entered his own darkened door, he knew the Lord was not coming today, for the hours of Christmas had passed away. So he went to his room and knelt down to pray. And he said, "Dear Lord, why did you delay? What kept you from coming to call on me? For I wanted so much your face to see." When soft in the silence a voice he heard, "Lift up your head, for I kept my word." 3 times my shadow crossed your floor. 3 times I came to your lowly door. For I was the beggar with bruised cold feet, and I was the woman you gave something to eat, and I was the child on the homeless street. 3 times I knocked, 3 times I came in, and each time I found the warmth of a friend. Of all the gifts, love is the best, and I was honored to be your Christmas guest.